Every garden needs a few plants that scream, "Look at me!" So here, to put some sparkle into your borders, are my top 5 showstoppers. So what makes a showstopper? Well, quite simply, it's a plant that can stop you in your tracks when you walk out into the garden. At number 5 on my list of showstoppers, well, the lupin. This is a glorious border perennial. Short-ish season of flower, but these tall spires of bloom are shown off by the starry leaves, almost like a firework from that central stalk. Slightly smaller flowers will emerge from lower down the stem if you chop this off once it's faded. It opens, as you can see, from the bottom right the way up to the top. And there's still a load of flowers here to come. Colours, blues, purples, reds, yellows, white. It really has a broad colour range. Some of them are bicolours, blue and white flowers or pink and white flowers. It reminds me of childhood in Yorkshire, lupins. Imagine walking into your garden and having some of these in your border, because on a warm sunny day you get a sweet fragrance from them as well. It's a pretty good all-rounder, the lupin. Number 4 has got to be the foxglove. This one is rather unusual. It's called Illumination Flame. But if this ain't a showstopper, I don't know what is. But for me, all foxgloves are glorious, even the wild purple foxglove, Digitalis purpurea, that seeds itself everywhere. And the lovely thing about foxgloves is they will seed themselves around your garden. These are amazing twin spires here of beautiful shaped flowers, rather different to the normal foxglove, which is much more rounded at the edge of the petals. This one appears to have been sliced with a pair of scissors. A lot of them are biennials, which means you sow them one spring to flower the following year, and after that they will die down and disappear, but they will still shed their seeds. Others are perennial, they'll go on year after year. So their best flowering time really is in April and May. That's when they come up, though some of these new varieties will flower later on into the year, and they really are glorious. They'll grow in most soils, they'll grow in partial shades, they're really woodland plants. So for me, to bring some beauty with a kind of natural feel and flavour to a garden, the foxglove is matchless, and in this case a definite showstopper. At number 3, one of my all-time favourites, it's this, the Penstemon. We used to think of penstemons as being rather tender during the winter, and then we started planting them out and leaving them through the winter in our gardens in reasonably well-drained soil, and they kept coming through. Till a couple of winters ago when we had a really cold snap, and that killed a lot of them. So they are in most winters reliably perennial, but it's as well to take insurance policies with them. These little shoots down here, which haven't got flowers on, make wonderful softwood cuttings. Take them now in the summer, keep them frost-free during the winter, and they are your insurance policy. They can go out next year. This is a variety called Laura. You can get varieties with really deep, dark, plum purple flowers. There's one called Blackbird. Another one which is purple and green called Sour Grapes. And for the front or the middle of a border, they're smashing. They'll arrest your eye, but they will carry on blooming right the way through the summer until the frosts. So that's 5, 4 and 3 in my countdown. A couple that didn't quite make it. Now, quite frankly, all of these make the cut for me. Take this, its common name is the Cancus gayfeather, Liatris. The foliage is quite narrow and fleshy green, really quite handsome. It's a good plant for pretty near the front of a border in sunshine. And one big strong point that Liatris has is that it's absolutely adored by butterflies. They love coming in and finding the nectar and the pollen. It's a good sturdy plant here, Liatris. And I love that common name, don't you? The Kansas gay feather. It is rather, isn't it? The other one that didn't quite make it, and I feel a bit bad about it really because they are stalwart garden plants, is the salvia. These are so useful. I call them fillers, but they're kind of show-stoppy fillers, if you like. This one's called Purple and Bloom. Strange name, I know, but there are lots of them. Different coloured flowers, from scarlet to pale creamy white to this tall one here. This one's about 3 feet tall, some of them only about a foot. But salvias are brilliant, brilliant, brilliant fillers. And even when its flowers fade, it leaves behind its calyces, the bits that hold the flowers, and they're really dark plum purple. Which leads me to number 2 in my list of showstoppers. I couldn't do without a dahlia. Until a few years ago, dahlias were thought to be really rather naff, but now they've made a comeback, and quite right too. They're superb. We keep the tuberous roots dry in the winter and frost-free, plant them in the garden in April, up they come, and from midsummer right until the frosts of autumn, they are full of flowers, great for cutting, all colours except true blue. Tall ones, medium-sized ones, short ones, cactus with spiky flowers, decoratives like these, pom-poms. I mean, what's not to like? They're just gorgeous. They're very squeaky plants, very juicy, and that generally means that they love a moist soil. Not waterlogged, but they like plenty of water. Don't grow them in dusty sand. They'll make really poor plants, but in good, reasonably rich earth and full sun, they'll flower their socks off. They are a true showstopper. So, can you guess what's at number 1? Before I come to it, there's just 3 plants in my own garden that I really do consider to be showstoppers. The first one you certainly won't argue with. This is the hydrangea called Annabelle. We prune it down to a few sticks in winter, and up it comes in spring with these enormous great white flower heads, so massive they need support, otherwise the plants flop open. But Annabelle, for me, give her a can of water when she looks a bit wilty, this is the result you get. I have 2 borders packed with agapanthus. I dug it up and divided it because it was getting overcrowded and flowering was falling off, and I thought, well, it won't do much this coming year. Oh boy, hasn't it just? 2 beds here, raised beds, full of Agapanthus Catharina. And an honourable mention for the lilies I planted way back in spring. Do you remember? Well, it's always nice to be proved right, isn't it? And at the moment they look glorious and the fragrance is divine. So my number 1 showstopper. Well, it's got to be something that can stop you in your tracks at the other end of the garden. So it's got to be imposing, it's got to be bright, it's got to be statuesque and have elegance and presence. And there's only one plant really that fulfills all those things, and that's this. The Delphinium. A well-grown Delphinium can be 7 or 8 feet tall. So spectacular. But what makes a well-grown Delphinium? They are greedy. When they've got that much growth to put on, they're going to need a lot of sustenance below ground or in the ground. So loads of muck, well-rotted garden compost, make the soil as rich as you possibly can. Then you have the problem that it's also attractive to slugs and snails. And slugs and snails consider Delphiniums to be 5-star hotels. So you've got to watch for slug and snail control when those shoots are emerging from the ground in March, April. Control your slugs and snails then, and you'll find these healthy plants and these healthy shoots will shoot up and produce these glorious spires of flower, with smaller ones coming from the side, so that when that central one fades, you can cut it off and get, albeit smaller ones, these side shoots coming up with their own show of flowers. This is a fully double variety called Highlander Bolero, with almost like cake decorations, aren't they? It is, as you can see at this height, a back of the border plant. Because it's so relatively short-lived, just a few weeks of these glorious spires, you want plants in front of it that will take over the interest once these have gone. Don't cut them right down to the ground, but do cut this right back when the flowers have finished, and feed them well during the summer. One of the few border plants that do benefit from being liquid fed once they've finished flowering, to boost them up for next year. But they've earned their place, I reckon, as my #1 showstopper. Because when people do come here, when it's Delphinium season, and see them out, you know you're always going to get, oh, wow. It's almost impossible, isn't it, to pick 5, half a dozen showstoppers out of a garden full of glorious flowers. But each and every one of these has something to contribute to make people pause in your garden and just, well, have their socks blown off, really. So what would be on your list of top 5 showstoppers? Comment below. Gardening has changed my life, so let me show you how it can change yours. I'll be posting new videos every week, so subscribe and let's get gardening together.